So we did we're talking about Walking Dead Season 8, of course. We're doing a top 6 countdown. So we did 6, 5, and 4 on The Talking Dead. Now we're about to do 3, 2, 1. And as always, we'll let the guests go first. Chris or Jason, which one of you would like to go first?
I'll go.
Go for it.
Cool.
So I want to start off by talking a little bit about Simon and Stephen Ogg and how I have such a huge man crush on this guy. He is a Canadian wonderful actor from Canada, and he took 5 years off of acting to build a house.
Cool.
Yeah. And so every moment that he was on screen for me was an absolute joy. He's a bad guy. We know he's a bad guy. He's even a bad savior because he went and he killed all the scavengers expressly against Negan's wishes, and he knew that he was doing that. And at the first chance he had where he thought Negan was dead, he decided to take over and do his own thing. And I wanted to say that Stephen Ogg is awesome. Simon is awesome. And he is going to be sorely missed by me.
Well, you can go over and see him in Westworld.
I did know he was in. I watched him in the first season of Westworld. I haven't yet watched the second season of Westworld, but I'm looking forward to it. Is he in that more than he was in the first season?
Not much.
Not so far.
He's in
There's
it less,
a great
yeah.
moment. There's a great moment with him.
Yep.
I wish I could talk about it, but I don't want to spoil it.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and that is a great moment. I just wish I could understand the rest of the show.
Hey, there's a good podcast out there for that.
I know, and I listen to
There
it. I listen
really
to that
is.
one and another one.
It's
And
tough, man.
I don't know
It's
if
really
I could
tough.
follow the friggin' season, and I even have trouble now. It's almost
Right.
impenetrably complicated in season 2.
Eh.
So
It's ridiculous.
Just let it wash over
yeah,
you.
yeah, you're right. It's still good.
Maybe it's one of those things.
like a poem.
Have you all been? Is it over? Is the first season over? Can you binge it yet?
Season
Yeah.
2, you mean?
Season 1's
Season
over.
2.
Season
Yeah,
2,
season 1.
they got 2 more left to go.
Right.
Oh, okay, so and you've all been watching them week to week.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
So
helps to
maybe
have a
it's,
podcast on it. I mean, if I didn't, I would not understand anything. Now I'm getting like 20%. So
Oh, that's good. That's good. Maybe it's the kind of thing you need to watch. Binge watch after
I think so.
watching it
Yeah.
the first time.
That probably will help.
Oh yeah.
I mean, rewatching it helps.
Season 1, if you rewatch that, it's almost a whole different show
Yep.
because of things that you learn at the end. But we're getting a little too far down this road, I feel like.
Stephen Ogg, good. Simon, good. Bye, Simon.
I want to say about Stephen Ogg that I also think he's awesome, and he was well known for playing this character Trevor in Grand Theft Auto 5, where he was a total psycho.
Yeah.
And then he played this guy, and so he's been coming to Walker Stalker Con, and I think I subconsciously deliberately didn't schedule any panels with him for a while because I was intimidated by his psychoticness. And then I was like, we do this thing called Pictionary or Sictionary, where we pit Walking Dead actors against each other and they draw, it's really fun. And so we had him on for that. And I'm like, what's he going to be like? Is he going to be all grumpy or something? He comes on, he's drawing really funny, and he's having a blast. And he looked over me at one point with a big smile on his face, and not even on mic, and goes, I love this. This is so much fun.
How can he not be a sweetheart?
Yeah.
He absolutely has to be a sweetheart.
Time for Stephen Ogg to do a romantic comedy.
He's a little eccentric. I mean, then I did do some panels with him after that, and he seemed a bit aloof at times. You don't quite know what you're going to get, but I love the guy. And yeah, he was also one of those guys that I talked to after he knew that Simon was gone, but we didn't yet. And you could tell that he was a little different that day.
I can totally see being a bit intimidated by him. There's a few actors, I've been on stage with a few of the big actors, and it's always been pretty comfortable, but there's a few of them that just would make me super nervous to be up there with, because you never know what might come out of their mouth or what might happen. And Stephen Ogg's probably one of them, but I have been in the same room as him. I haven't really met the guy, but he seems pretty cool just hanging around in
he's cool.
behind the scenes and stuff. So.
And we've got to mention that I think it was awesome how he did his zombie self, his walker self.
Uh-huh.
Unlike any other walker, I mean, he still was imbued with the essence of Simon, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was.
Yep.
It was definitely Walker Simon, and that was
Big
really
smile and kind of crazy. Gnashing his
The
teeth.
only mitigating factor to my sorrow for Simon being killed off and Stephen Ogg leaving the show is that Garrett Dillahunt is now on Fear the Walking Dead, and I can successfully transfer my man crush over to him. John Dory is the best, and it makes me feel better that he's on the show.
As long as
Oh,
there's one.
wonderful.
Right, as
Yeah,
long
there's
as
got to be
there's one.
somebody, right?
You lose the mustache, though, Jason.
I can live without the mustache, but
Oh.
not, Stephen Ogg has to have the mustache.
Yeah.
Karen? Chris. I'm
no,
sorry. Chris.
I think it's Chris.
Well, I'm going to start with maybe a little bit of a weird one here that's a little bit more about the marketing of the show than the show itself, because I think AMC has been doing some weird things lately when they're promoting The Walking Dead. And most of it revolves around directly teasing things, or even straight up like spoiling stuff, telling us things that we should expect on the show. And this doesn't seem like the kind of thing they did in years past. They just kind of put out the show and they let it happen. Obviously, there are teasers and trailers and things like that, but it was always very, here's some footage and we're going to try to confuse you, and there's no context. So, that's what a teaser should be, kind of. But now, and with season 8, they've taken that a little step further, and I don't really like it, to be honest with you. I think it's weird. So I have a few examples. Before the mid-season finale, where they revealed that Carl got bit, they teased, quote, a moment everyone will be talking about and you won't want to miss it. They really pushed that. They teased it on their Talking Dead show and in video promos and in like the Next Week On promos and stuff like that. And I realize not everyone watches those or has to watch them, but I don't feel like that's the kind of thing they were doing 5 years ago. They weren't saying, there's this huge shocking moment that you have to see, so tune in and so on. And then the whole crossover thing with Morgan going to Fear, they straight up told us that they were going to do a crossover, first of all. And then they straight up revealed who it was going to be. There was no surprise left about the character that was going over. We found out that it was Morgan, again on Talking Dead. And I couldn't help but think, man, oh man, how insane would it have been if they just let that happen and they didn't tease it and they just went on. And maybe that's a little unrealistic on my, from my part, but I think it would have been super surprising and just really blown me away if they hadn't mentioned that at all. And then this is maybe slightly less, but I'm pretty sure they teased the return of Morales too. They didn't just let that happen in the episode, and sure, he was only there for a few minutes and then he got killed by Daryl. But again, it would have been a fun surprise that he would have just shown up and everyone was like, oh my God, it's him again. Or at least we would have, because I think most of the audience probably long forgot who Morales was. But
do you think that part of the reason they did it that way was because the ratings have been so sucky this season?
Well,
and so they were just trying to get as many people to tune in as possible?
It could be something like that. If people are leaving and people are disappearing from the show, they're trying anything they can to get them to stick around or come back to the show and kind of get sucked in again,
if you're an executive on the show, you have to weigh the benefits of having something be a surprise. And I agree with you, Chris. I think it would be better for us. It would be more impactful and amazing if we didn't have any clue. But if I was an executive, I would probably do the same thing and tease Morgan going over. And I also just want to mention the ratings you might call sucky because they definitely have gone down. But also, I still think that The Walking Dead and even Fear the Walking Dead are the two highest rated dramas on cable right now, even with their drop in ratings, I think. Maybe not Fear, but definitely The Walking Dead.
Yeah, the number of eyeballs on Walking Dead is like half of what it used to be. And it's only a third of what its like peak was, right?
But it's still like the highest rated.
Right, but it's still the highest rated show. So, I mean, I guess they're looking at the trend and
right,
rather than the actual numbers, which is smart, trying to stop it. But yeah, but I just think like, fine, tease a crossover. And I do think that was more about Fear though than Walking Dead.
It was, yeah.
Right. But why do they have to tell us who it is? Like, they could have let at least part of the surprise come out. So,
well, I think one reason why they told us is because there have been so many people going out and filming, leaking, going out and filming, and I think Lenny James was in Texas all of a sudden, and they wanted to get ahead of it. I think. I don't know. Maybe I just assumed that, but
Oh, it's so hard to keep things secret
yeah.
in this day and age.
So they wanted to like if it's going to be leaked, they wanted to do it in a way that would be the highest impact. I mean, it sucks that that's the reality, but I think that's what happened.
So you're saying
you're right.
you're saying it's our fault. It's the fans' fault.
Well, there's certain websites that just specialize in spoiling Walking Dead.
Well, you can't blame the executives,
No.
right?
It's never their fault. No.
No, it can't be their fault.
No, but I want to give us credit because we talk about little things that are upcoming, but I think both of us, if we learn something huge, like if a script leaks or something, we're not going to talk about that.
No, I don't even.
We never do.
I don't even read it. If a script or something came out, I would stay away from it because part of the job of doing this podcast is just that there are going to be some spoilers. I realized that a long time ago. I'm going to know things about the show that not everyone is, but I also go out of my way to try to avoid them, and I certainly go out of my way to try not to spread them around. So,
yeah,
you know,
I mean, we do give out spoiler warnings. Even every time we talk about the comic book, Chris, you put out you say a spoiler warning.
I try to, yeah.
I spoil the shit out of all other stuff, but I don't spoil this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because when you're podcasting, I mean, I think of, it's kind of funny, but I think of this stuff like a big sheet of bubble wrap, you know, that you pop, and it's so satisfying. But if you pop all the bubble wrap then before you even watch the show, then there's nothing left. So you have to kind of go around the fringes a little bit just to kind of stoke the excitement, but leave most of the pleasure for when you're actually watching the show.
Yeah, a big sheet of bubble wrap, that's fun. A plain, boring sheet of plastic, that's not fun.
Just throw it away.
It's just garbage. Yeah.
Make a dress
Karen
out
enjoys
of
it.
Make a dress out of it. That's a little transparent, maybe.
I'm just trying to think of fun things to do with it.
Sure, why not?
Make a dress out of it.
Bubble wrap comes in different colors.
Yeah.
Pretty translucent. You layer that stuff, you're good.
Okay, Karen.
All right. So my number, what are we at? 3, technically 3?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to talk about the season finale. I loved the finale, and I haven't loved many episodes this last season. I thought the finale was great. It felt really good to get some resolution. So, phew. Mainly because I've been so frustrated at this. It really felt like, and here's my nitpick or maybe one of my nitpicks for this episode, is that it really felt like they took the story and dragged it on for 3 seasons. Probably because they dragged the story on for 3 seasons. So war is over, yay! So maybe we can get some other stories. But I liked some of the stories within the season finale, including I loved Eugene, who is like the saboteur. I thought it was his long overdue redemption, and so that was nice. I liked that the Oceanside folks came, and last we saw them, things were getting weird with Aaron in the forest, and turns out he's pretty good with the explanation, and he's very persuasive, evidently, because they were there helping out. I love that Negan was stopped. Huzzah. Yay. Or at least captured. I mean, who knows what's going to happen next, but at least he's been captured. I have the feeling there's more to be said on that front. And I like the rebuilding. They ended it on this hopeful note. The scenes of like Tara and all the eggs that were stacked up. They must have just a buttload of chickens because those were a lot of eggs. And windmills, yay! And Father Gabriel rebuilding the church. I make no secret about the fact that I love the home improvement shows, so it'd be super fun to get some of that. That scratches a very particular itch for me, and I like it. So there you are.
The Walking Dead, love it or list it.
So you mentioned that the season, you didn't like a lot of the season after going over it for these rewatch podcasts. Did you change your impression at all? I mean, you probably, like me, just went over your notes, right? I didn't go back and watch the whole thing over because we already saw each episode twice, but you kind of get a feel for the whole season just going back.
There are moments of the season that are great. Really, there are moments of the season that I really, really, really enjoyed. But in general, I felt like I was just done with the storyline.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely. Yeah, me too.
And so with the season finale, I feel like we're moving on. It's good.
But I mean, I'm glad too that they, as far as I'm concerned, they pretty much stuck the landing too. That after all this build up for, I think it was actually like 2.5 years, they really dealt with. They ended it well.
Yeah.
Right. If they hadn't stuck the landing, then it would really feel like, oh my God, all of that for this.
Yes. Right. Exactly. And they ended, and it was a good episode. And yeah, it felt good. I mean, it was kind of bad for the Saviors, but good for us.
That
And
made it
actually,
even better,
not even that bad for the Saviors, honestly, because Negan's out of there, Simon's out of there, and they're going to have to figure out how to go forward
Right.
after this.
But I want most of the Saviors, if they're going to be realistic, they should all be missing at least 3 or 4 fingers each. And then
Oh yeah, a couple noses here and there.
okay.
Right.
I agree
Okay.
that the season finale was really good, and that they finally wrapped it up pretty well. Just on the Eugene thing, though, as much as I enjoyed seeing that, and I really liked it, I did think it was a little predictable, or maybe that's only because I sort of predicted what was going to happen. But they did it in a good way. Like in that episode where who's it, Daryl and Rosita try to capture Eugene and take him back, and the conversations they had while they were on the road about doing something useful with your pathetic life, and then having Eugene use that same line later on when he's back in the bullet factory. I thought those were all really sort of neat little bits that they did that worked really well, and that's kind of what led me to figure out what was going on. But I didn't mind because it was kind of fun. It was a reveal that they teased a bit, and I figured it out, and I'm sure lots of people did, but so it was okay. I enjoyed all that, and I enjoyed the season finale quite a bit too. And here we are going into a new season with a new showrunner, and all kinds of promise, and you know, a little teases here and there of what's to come, but not too much. So it's good.
I think the finale was really well done. The thing that really got me in the finale was the final scene. The scene where Rick is taking a walk with his younger son Carl down the path. That really it choked me up.
Me too.
During that,
Because I have
just,
sons too, and I know you do, and Chris has daughters, so he didn't really care.
I didn't get it at all. No, I have no idea what it's like to walk with a little boy.
It's very personal. It's very personal for me because you have Rick in walking with his younger son, knowing full well that his son had died, and that that was a happy memory in a horrible situation. And it was very personal for me, and it choked me up. And it's on my list here, and I was hoping that somebody would bring it up, because if I had to bring it up, on my own, I'm actually worried about talking about this topic and making sure that I don't get all choked up and break down.
No,
so
you should.
okay.
That'd be great.
That'd be great. So yeah, very personal scene for me, and absolutely fantastic, and joyful and heartbreaking all at the same time. It was such a nice shot.
Yeah. And they got a kid. I mean, I don't know how hard it is to get a little boy that looks like Carl from behind, but it seemed like him.
It really did look like him. Yeah, they did a good job on that.
Am I remembering? I'm sorry, I didn't go back and rewatch the entire season, but am I remembering it right where they showed the giant zombie horde on the horizon?
Yes.
At the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rick was saying, we shouldn't
Biggest
be
one we've
fighting.
ever seen.
We shouldn't be fighting against each other. We need to prepare for that. And he points out to the massive horde in the valley there. So,
Got it.
yeah, it's either gonna just pass them by and they'll never bring it up again, or it's gonna be a big part of season 9.
You mentioned Eugene. I continued to like that he was a cowardly traitor all season, just because I think it would be boring if everyone was just a hero. And I also think it goes along with his personality of staying safe and not sticking his neck out. But what kind of surprised me is he was kind of an asshole boss, just being a dick to everybody that was under his watch, and he's like, hey, if I'm going to be in this situation, I'm going to take advantage. I don't know. It was really fun to watch, and I would have liked to have seen a scene between Jared and Eugene to see how they would interact.
Oh, they would have butted heads for sure. But I think Eugene, I think it's the first time he's ever been in a position of power a little bit, and I think it went to his head kind of.
Yeah,
You know?
so that was fun. And then, yeah, I was waiting for him to. You said long overdue, and I think that's right. But I think it actually made it that much sweeter that it took so long. But what it took was Rosita kind of shaming him into it. You turned your back on the only friends you ever had, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I guess you're right."
Good point there, Rosita.
I have the complete opposite opinion of Eugene. Well, it's not complete opposite, but I really didn't want him to be a good guy again. I wanted him to stay, and I understand that his character, and it makes perfect sense within Eugene's, character to just latch on to whoever he sees as the strongest group and has the biggest chance for him to survive. But I really wanted him to be a bad guy and remain a bad guy because we haven't seen that before. As far as I know,
Yeah.
we've seen bad guys go good and stay good, but we've never seen a good person or somebody that's on our team go bad and stay that way.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, I almost feel the same way. I mean, I'm
Well-
kind of on the fence because it was very satisfying to see what happened, but I think I agree with you for the most part. Okay, is it my turn, I think?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is notable deaths because it was war, and I don't know. I wonder if there was more death in this season than any other season. That's hard to say, but I have a list of some people here. There was Carl, which we've talked a lot about. Shiva, Morales, who I think that's kind of this is probably kind of cold, but it's darkly funny that he wanted to come back and play this role again. And what was that phone call like? Yay, we want you to come back for one episode.
One
And then you'll never
scene.
come back again.
One scene.
Yeah, one scene. Eric, that was sad and good, well done.
Yeah.
I still feel like it's a little weird of Aaron to let Eric walk off as a zombie, given that it's right around the same time we meet Sadiq, who's talking about killing them to free their souls.
Yeah.
I feel like they wanted to have that shot of him ambling away, which was really nice, but I'm like, dude, I think you should kill him just in case.
Yeah.
There was Netanya, leader of the Oceansiders, killed by Enid. There was this guy Neil, who was a red shirt sitting in the back seat when Simon confronted Jesus and Maggie and had Jerry. As soon as he spoke, I felt like he was dead.
Poor guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that guy's dead. There was Gavin, shanked by Henry, which is rough. And I really like his character, and that he seemed like the one who might flip because he seemed to be doing that job reluctantly, but then that he, when given the chance, didn't take it because he was just too afraid. And I like that whole thing. And I think the actor's great, Jason Warner-Smith. There was Tobin, who I've said already. I freaking loved what they did with him. Jared, who I also love because he's such a weasel, and every time you see him, he's doing the most annoying thing possible. So it was really fun, but I thought he died pretty much the way he deserved to, being held while the zombies eat him from behind.
Yep.
Simon, who, I was also sad to see go, but it's kind of cool to see him and Negan in a fight, man to man, and being the best zombie ever. And then here's just a list of more that we know the names of: Andy, Freddie, Dino, Mara, Nelson, Francine, Todd, Daniel, Rudy, Alvaro, Gunther, Joey, Yago, Leo, Zia, Dean, Brian, Tamiel, Dr. Harlan Carson, Derek, Kurt, Kevin, Dana, Wesley, Katie, Bruce, Evan, Riley, Gary, Lance, and Duke.
Wow. You know what this is kind of like at the end of our podcast when you say, don't get bit, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
It's like that.
All those guys. Well, most of
Yes.
them got shot, but yeah.
And most of
Yeah.
most of them are
shot.
saviors, right? Most of them.
Yeah, well, no, a lot of them are hilltoppers. And,
Oh, okay, yeah.
even some Alexandrians in
shirts.
there. Yeah, I think, and there's some, what do you call it? Garbage people. Kingdom, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of garbage people went in the chopper.
I think the only one that had names, or a name, was Tamiel. Maybe there were more. I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's right. They were the notable ones from the garbage group there. But Simon shot them all down. So
yeah, that's Simon for you.
classic Simon.
Simon, you nut.
All right. We're going to interrupt with a sponsor this week. I just went camping. I took a ton of photos, and most of them turn out like all our photos, I think, unless you're particularly talented, anywhere from really bad to pretty good. But occasionally I'll look at one and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And so we went to Angel Island, which I'd never been to before. Have you been there, Karen?
I love it so much there.
nice.
Yeah, you hike and there's
Yeah.
cool stuff to explore and old buildings. It's really neat.
Yeah.
It's our Ellis Island.
There, it was like a military outpost, and so there's these old abandoned cement structures that you can go in these tunnels, and it's kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in one and turned to see the opening where you could see the light shining through, and my son Nico was standing in the doorway, but he was just a silhouette, and it was really creepy.
And you took a picture.
I did, and it turned out it looks like it's from a magazine, and I don't know if I'll have that fracture because it's really creepy, but I might. It's very good.
That's awesome.
Either way, I'm also today, after we finish podcasting, going to possibly get a kitten. We're going to go look at kittens.
What?
Finally,
Yeah.
Did you sniff enough, and you finally decided what kind?
She means I'm allergic, by the way.
You're not
Jenny
smelling
too.
kittens to choose one?
Well, we were thinking about that, but I learned that you need to spend some time. Well, there's certain breeds that might be hypoallergenic, but you have to spend some time with them. So we're going to have a cat on a trial basis, which is kind of a gamble, but I'm hoping it works out. Either way, there will be a lot of photo ops, which is the point. I think if any of us looked on our photo roll, on our camera, on our phone, that we would spot a few that are like, wow, I really, really did well there. And so that's where Fracture comes in, because this is the perfect way. It's your photos printed on a pane of glass in really vivid cover and ready to hang right out of the box. Best way to display your photos, because it's a nice presentation and it's things that you are proud of or you want to remember. It's really easy. You just upload your photo to their website, choose a size, and then order it. And that's it. So if you want to get one, go to fractureme.com/dead. You get a discount if it's your first Fracture order. Again, that's fractureme.com/dead. Thank you, Fracture.
Thanks, Fracture.
Okay, now where are we? Jason M, number 2.
Okay, so I want to talk about a particular episode, Some Guy, episode 4. This was the episode where it started with Ezekiel getting into character, or getting essentially dressed after a shower, and then the whole episode was about the kingdom, and this is the episode where Shiva died, and which was very sad. You can shoot 27 people in the head, nobody gives a shit, but you kick a dog, and that people just get very upset. So I really liked this episode, and I really, really liked that it started with Ezekiel getting essentially into character, and it was all about that. He's a theater guy that is putting on this King Ezekiel character, and we see him in essentially the green room or the dressing room getting ready for that, and it was very poignant. And it was very important to me to know that he was getting into this character. And, being a performer in a previous life, one of the most important things about performing in a show is the quality of the dressing room. Like if you had a nice, quiet dressing room where you could spend half an hour before you go on stage to get mentally prepared, it's very, very important. So to see him go through that was very meaningful for me. And then, at the end, with most of the people in the kingdom dying, or all the his soldiers dying, it was a very sad and important episode for me.
Mm-hmm. The whole character of Ezekiel is so great because Kari Payton, who plays him, he's got this spark of life in his eyes that for me anyway, I'm just drawn to. He's so appealing of a guy, and so you kind of fall, or at least I should talk for myself. I fall for Ezekiel, even though he's kind of ridiculous the way he's speaking and everything. And it's an act right from the start, of sorts, an act anyway. and he's putting on a character, and then it gets so deflated in that episode. Yet I smile, and then all his men die, and his tiger dies, and he comes home with his head held low, having to tell everyone else. So sad. But then it's about him finding where his real power comes from, and how much of that was just an act and how much of it is real. So I don't know, I just really enjoyed that whole, I mean, as much as you can enjoy, because some of it was really sad, but I thought it was a great arc with him.
Yeah, so good with him. And he does it because he knows that's what the people need, right? They need him to be that guy, to be that kingly character. And it's hard for him, and he almost lost it there when everyone died and when his tiger died. But just doing it, the reasons behind him doing it are really noble and really great, and I love watching it. And I agree, it was fun to see him get ready like that and prepare for the day, kind of thing. So it was really good. Plus, I agree about Kari Payton too. That guy loves life more than most people I've ever met, and he's just so fun and such a great guy in person. I had him do a birthday audio recording for one of my kids because she's a massive fan of Cyborg on Teen Titans, which is a voice he does. And that, like, now she's in love with him, so I got to bring her to a Walker Stalker or something and introduce the two at some point, because that would be great.
One time, one thing that surprised me on a panel, somebody asked, not exactly this, but I forget who the characters were, but something like, so if you had to kill Rick or Carol, who would you kill? And he goes, "Fuck you, man. Why are you asking me that?"
That's a weird question, to be fair. Like,
and I was like, well, thanks for the question, though.
Yeah.
That's so great.
I ain't killing anybody. Oh, man.
Okay. Next
Me.
Okay.
I guess.
Glad someone's keeping track.
Yeah. Check off my list here. I want to just talk about Negan a little bit more, because I have never been a huge fan of Negan, or I should say maybe the way Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays him. But that started to change a little bit in season 8, because I think they gave Negan some different kinds of scenes in season 8. When he was first introduced, it was all about him up in front of people, grandstanding, really sort of acting the part. And it always came off a little bit cartoony and goofy to me, and instead of menacing and threatening, and which is crazy, because even when he was, bashing people's heads in with a baseball bat, part of me was like, oh, but he's just so ridiculous. Like, I don't know what it is. And that kind of persisted through season 7. But in season 8, I felt like there was still some of that, but they gave him a few different kinds of scenes, and we had him in more one-on-one interactions and maybe in a little bit smaller doses. So he wasn't up in front of a big group of people all the time, and it worked a little bit better for me. I felt like more of the real guy came out a little bit. And the biggest example of this, I think, is in episode 5, which was called The Big Scary You, when Negan and Father Gabriel are stuck in that trailer. And a good portion of that episode was just the two of them talking. We learn a little bit about both of them, about Negan's past a little bit, and a little bit more about what Father Gabe went through with his parishioners and stuff like that. And they both talk about their past sins, and they both get a little bit of redemption from them. And for me, this all went a long way to bring Negan back down to earth a bit and humanize him a little bit. We talked on the other half of this podcast about making the saviors in general a little bit more relatable, or at least giving us more information about what they were all about. Understandable, yeah. And I think they did that with Negan himself a little bit better in season 8. So I think Negan is a pretty terrible guy most of the time, but I think they made some strides here to just open me up personally a little bit to the character, and I was okay with that. And also seeing him in his office there with his head honchos, it's a smaller group. It showed him doing something other than just grandstanding and putting on this big show for people. He was kind of, he was almost like he was running the business at that point. He was doing the day to day, and that worked a little bit better for me, for Negan as a character. So I don't know what you guys think, but I weirdly became more on board with Negan in season 8 than I ever was before they more or less wrapped up his story, at least for now. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say I'm more on board as far as appreciating him as a character. I would never in real life want to do anything but lock him up or kill him.
Well, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what you're saying. But yeah, I think they handled him better this season.
That's basically it.
The whole thing with Gabriel and...
Yeah, I can't argue. No one can argue that he's a good guy or a nice person, but just the way he was portrayed in season 8, I thought was better. And he was a little deeper, and there were more sides to him, and that's it. But Karen, I bet you still hate him because I know you're not a Negan fan.
Yeah, it's my number 2 as well. Is the character of Negan? No, his whole shtick of his backbending.
Oh yeah,
and the whole he was like a big cartoon character,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think they gave us much about him. I was sort of surprised they didn't give us more of a backstory. He's been on the Walking Dead for a long time now, and they haven't really gone into his past, or they've hinted at it. They've sort of implied a couple things. They've touched on some things, but they haven't really done a deep dive into what makes Negan, as opposed to, say, the governor. Which, they really went a deep dive in the governor, and they gave us backstories about just about everybody else, but they really haven't with Negan, and
What's
that's
the governor's
fine.
backstory?
Do you remember they had this whole they had a couple
pre-apocalypse? They didn't do anything, I don't think.
Well, they had his daughter there, certainly, and maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of the governor's daughter.
Yeah, that's all post-apocalyptic. I guess, yeah, that's...
Yeah, well, there he is with his daughter, and that's a motivating factor. And the fact that he lost his wife and his daughter, and then you see pictures of them, and you understand this is what broke him and made him the person that he is, the broken person that he is. I'm not certain what made Negan so broken.
They tried, because they went into that whole thing about how he wasn't able to kill his zombie wife, and he felt guilty about that and weak, and so then after that he came to the conclusion that the way to survive is to be strong and to make other people strong.
Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong.
I mean, that's what that was for. You didn't think it was enough?
They touched on it, but
just a little
it
bit.
Didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I think Karen, what you're saying, and tell me if I'm wrong, but like he was so off the charts ridiculous to begin with that little bit of story we get later on about his wife and naming the bat after her and all that probably isn't enough to bring it back for him. Whereas the governor wasn't. Yes, he was psycho and so on, but he didn't have that ridiculous feeling that Negan did to start with. And I think having the governor's daughter there the whole time, we actually saw her. That's a little more impactful than a guy just telling a story about not being able to kill his wife and so on. Because who knows if that's even true, right? He's just telling the story. Right.
And what I'm worried about for me personally is that we're just going to have to put up with Negan for years to come.
Yeah, that's another interesting thing about Negan and where it's going, because he's in jail, but I don't feel like the show is going to have Jeffrey Dean Morgan sitting in a jail cell, showing up here and there, 2 or 3 times a season doing nothing. So he's got to be on the show still. So I'll be surprised if he spends very long in that jail at all.
Yep. Yeah, or we're going to have a whole season where we get like 5 or 10 minutes of him in his jail cell every episode or something.
Oh, I don't think I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work at all. But also, Karen, when you said the way he stands and he pushes his pelvis forward and stuff, that reminded me that part of the reason I liked the meeting scenes in the sanctuary is that he was sitting down. He couldn't do that. He was sitting down, and I wasn't distracted by his pelvis in my face.
Chris, hearing you talk about Negan I think I might have thought this before, but it's interesting how some characters on The Walking Dead have this persona, this public face that they put on, but it's not there's a lot more different things going on underneath, like Ezekiel and Carol. Those are the two that really come to mind. Other people are more straightforward, like Rick, I would say, is what you see is what you get, and Michonne. And I think Negan is more in that former category where he's kind of playing a character a lot of the time. And I think he enjoys it. It's not like he's all nervous underneath, but it's still a shtick. And occasionally, and more this season than ever, we got to see him drop down into a little bit more authenticity, maybe.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't think it's as deliberate for Negan, right? It's very deliberate for Ezekiel, but Negan just does it and doesn't think about it. And if he does think about it, it's that this is his way of gaining power and retaining power. So,
right.
And you know, he would say he's doing this for the benefit of everyone because he's saving people, but you know, it's there's a fine line between saving people and oppressing them and saying you're saving people.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe it's not a fine line, but it's a difference.
Killing somebody, it's a pretty thick line, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, like humiliating people and ironing their faces and building this harem, that's enough. Those things I just said are enough to not be able to excuse anything else that he ever does.
Right.
Don't iron anyone's face.
Yeah.
He threw that guy into the furnace too.
Rule of thumb.
Yeah.
He irons them and he burns them alive. My God.
Ugh.
Okay, it's my turn. So let's see. I will say Maggie, who I think had a huge season, and I think Lauren Cohan did really well transforming into this leader, making tough decisions, and also showing fallibility. And I think it was interesting because really her whole drive is revenge, and she's just pushing towards that at any cost, but still at the same time she's showing practicality and humanity. She manages to balance that. And as a comic reader, I knew that Maggie was going to step up and probably be the head of Hilltop, because that's what happens in the comic. And I wasn't sure whether Lauren Cohan could pull that off. And after the season, thinking back, I feel like she made me believe it even more than in the comic. She did really good. And I would, if I was part of that group and she was our leader, I think I would just feel totally cool about that. So I was really impressed with that. And I think it was a really, really interesting twist when it became apparent that she was so fixated on vengeance that she would even risk her own people's life for it.
Yep.
That was the dark part of it. And then the whole thing at the end where she's screaming when Rick comes back with Negan still alive. He killed Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not over till he's dead. No. That was so hard. And Lauren Cohan did such a great job with that. And I just thought, oh man, she's like really gonna have a huge role in the show from now on because of this. And I'm sure that's what she was thinking too, but then there's all this more background stuff going on, so we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I loved watching Lauren Cohan this year. I didn't actually put her on my list, but she was one of my favorite parts of season 8, watching her lead the group there. And you're absolutely right. The scene when she's screaming at Rick to kill him was insane. And she did an amazing job in that. And you can completely understand why she feels that way.
Yeah,
obviously,
Glenn, man.
Oh, absolutely, Glenn.
Yeah.
But she was fantastic, and I guess I'll just say I hope we get lots more Maggie in the future.
Let's hope.
More Maggie.
Yeah, more Maggie.
Okay, Jason.
Oh, we're back
Number
to me.
one.
So this is number one. So this one I'm hoping to get a little bit of help here. I've got a few examples of when the chips are down, we saw people's true selves. And a couple of the I was speaking about Ezekiel before. We know that he's an actor and he's putting on this character, but his true self came out in that episode that I mentioned. Some guy. We saw Jadis becoming real after all the scavengers get killed. She drops her persona altogether. We know that we see Carl's true self in him saving Sadiq. even sacrificing himself to save Sadiq, and then writing these letters to try and entice other people to bring out their true selves. We see Maggie coming into her own, as you were saying, Jason, as a leader of the Hilltop, and still having vengeance in her heart because Negan is still alive, and talking to Jesus and
Daryl?
Jesus for some reason. I'm not sure why those people were in the room, but that's okay. It's another one of the nitpicky things. And then we see Simon, who is obviously a psychopath that is wants to kill everybody, but he, for the entire season, seems to be under control and under Negan's control, but he was not. He was just apparently somewhat controlled for a while, but then his true self came out. And I'm hoping that maybe you fine folks could come up with some other examples of this. But I throughout this entire season, we see true selves being different than presented selves in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at with Negan a little bit, that you would see different sides of him anyway, and I felt like some were more authentic than others, and definitely Ezekiel too. And we've had a lot of that with Carol over the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but then there's always like people who are kind of confusing. Like Rick has changed so much back and forth that I don't know who his true self is. Same with Morgan. He's kind of flip-flopping around a little bit.
Oh God, yeah.
It's an interesting point, though. I hadn't really thought about it like that. A lot of everyone you mentioned is definitely sort of their true self came out a little bit this season. With Rick, he has flopped around a bit, but I also feel like Rick kind of just he is what he is, and I don't feel like he is the most complex character on the show, actually, when you list off those other ones just kind of doing things differently. But I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah,
what about Daryl? Nobody's talked about Daryl really at all.
He didn't have much of a journey this season, did he?
No, he did not.
He was just pissed off.
He shot some people out of pure cold blood. We shot that one guy. Rick said, "We're going to give you safe passage. Just tell us what we need to know." And he said, "Yeah, sure. Here's the information." And then he just shot him.
Yeah.
I think like he's so mad and impacted about being held captive and tortured and everything, and so that he's just vengeance driven. I mean, vengeance was a huge part of the season, of course, with Tara and Daryl and Maggie.
Yeah. Tara's straightforward. You know what you're going to get with Tara, I think.
Mm-hmm. with Enid, we still haven't seen her admit that she's a spy. So
no, not yet. So her true self is still well hidden.
Still coming. I read this week that she's going to play a bigger part in season 9, and she's been moved,
a more spyful part.
Maybe a more spyful part.
She's taking all Carl's parts.
Yeah, she probably will. I think I read that she's been officially made a series regular, which she's been around for a long time and only had a small part, but yeah, that is good.
Yeah, I think she's great.
I'm excited. Well, my number one, speaking of Daryl, is sort of related to him, but it's kind of a Simon versus Daryl sort of thing, because I was thinking about the season and I realized that these two were sort of similar in a way. They kind of had similar storylines. Both characters, well, we've talked a lot about how everyone loves Simon and he was amazing, but both characters dissented from their leaders and went against the plan. Daryl drove the truck into the sanctuary when he wasn't supposed to do that. Mm-hmm. And Simon killed all of the scavengers and generally didn't want to save anyone at all, which is not part of Negan's plan or what they were all about. Both of them, Simon and Daryl, tried to recruit others from their group to join